hope you are well. Hey, my friend, it's true, we will go live at 10:10, and I hope you are swell. I hope that you are well. How are you this morning? Please let me know, even if you watch this in the replay. I'd love to know how you are today. It's true, so let's comment and share what's going on for you and with you. What's happening to you in this world? It's true that we are in this together, and it's better when we are in love and have ones who love us. And it is true. Now it's time for us to read an intro. Today I wanted to read just the last piece of the 4 agreements. It's just one page. They're prayers. So that is how we'll begin. I hope you can join me live or listen to the replay of Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. It's true, that's what we're here to do. And first we'll start with a prayer, and then we'll go into chapter 1. I hope that you are enjoying this. I turned my head to the sky, to the sun, to the stars, and put a little piece of my love in every star, in the moon, in the sun, and they loved me back. And I became one with the moon and the sun and the stars, and my love kept growing and growing. And I put a little piece of my love in every human, and I became one with the whole of humanity. Wherever I go, whomever I meet, I see myself in their eyes, because I am a part of everything, because I love. And then the old man opens his own chest, takes out his heart with that beautiful flame inside, and he puts that flame in your heart. And now that love is growing inside of you. Now you are one with the wind, with the water, with the stars, with all of nature, with all animals, and with all humans. You feel the heat and the light emanating from the flame in your heart. Out of your head shines a beautiful light of different colors. You are radiant with the glow of love, and you pray. Thank you, Creator of the universe, for the gift of life you have given me. Thank you for giving me everything that I have ever truly needed. Thank you for the opportunity to experience this beautiful body and this beautiful mind. Thank you for living inside me with all your love, with your pure and boundless spirit, with your warm and radiant light. Thank you for using my words, for using my eyes, for using my heart to share your love wherever I go. I love you just the way you are. And because I am your creation, I love myself just the way I am. Help me to keep the love and the peace in my heart, and to make that love a new way of life, that I may live to love, that I may live in love the rest of my life. Amen. So, love, self-compassion. What do they mean? How do you practice them? How can you be kind to yourself today? It is 10:10 and we begin. As we go on the journey, the artist's way, to discover the parts of ourselves that previously we had hid away, that previously we had deemed not good enough, that previously we decided weren't good enough, and now we know otherwise. So may your self-compassion today in this service, it will not only just be chapter 1 or week 1, which is recovering a sense of safety, for which we are all in great need right now, because the common exit or salutation upon departing from one another is stay safe, which we do out of love. But the truth is that none of us make it safely out of life alive. And yet we need to understand how to actually help ourselves feel safe in the moments leading to the moments when things change. And right now we're going through huge changes, and every week things are going to get crazier, I believe. And that being said, we're here. And we're creating a sense of home within ourselves, in our heart center. And we're gaining access to other tools and teachers and techniques that will help us and grow us and stretch us and help us become more of who and whose we truly are. So, in recovering a sense of safety this week, I would encourage you to listen. And each chapter is quite lengthy because it does have a number of exercises. There's not actually that many pages, it's about 10. So we're going to read this then. And we're going to start by saying, this week initiates your creative recovery. You may feel both giddy and defiant, hopeful and skeptical. The readings, tasks, and exercises aim at allowing you to establish a sense of safety, which will enable you to explore your creativity with less fear. It's about creating a safe foundation on which to build from, to understand that we can drop the walls of BS that have kept us feeling safely separate from one another, and to realize that foundation, when we are able to keep it firm and strong, that platform is what allows us to create with less fear. So, shadow artists, it begins. One of our 4 chief needs as creative beings is support. Unfortunately, this can be hard to come by. Ideally, we would be nurtured and encouraged first by our nuclear family and then by ever-widening circles of friends, teachers, well-wishers. As young artists, we need and want to be acknowledged for our attempts and efforts, as well as for our achievements and triumphs. Unfortunately, many artists never receive this critical early encouragement. As a result, they may not know they are artists at all. Parents seldom respond, "Try it and see what happens," to artists issuing. Parents seldom respond, "Try it and see what happens," to artistic urges issuing from their offspring. They offer cautionary advice where support might be more to the point. Timid young artists, adding parental fears to their own, often give up their sunny dreams of artistic careers, settling into the twilight world of could-have-beens and regrets. There, caught between the dream of action and the fear of failure, shadow artists are born. I am thinking here of Edwin, a miserable millionaire trader whose joy in life comes from his art collection. Strongly gifted in the visual arts, he was urged as a child to go into finance. His father bought him a seat in the stock exchange for his 21st birthday. He has been a trader ever since. Now in his mid-30s, he is very rich and very poor. Money cannot buy him creative fulfillment. Surrounding himself with artists and artifacts, he is like the kid with his nose pressed to the candy store window. He would love to be more creative, but believes that the prerogative of others, nothing he can aspire to for himself. A generous man, he recently gifted an artist with a year's living expenses so she could pursue her dreams. Raised to believe that the term artist could not apply to him, he cannot make that same gift for himself. Edwin's not an isolated case. All too often, the artistic urges of the artist child are ignored or suppressed. Often with the best intentions, parents try to foster a different, more sensible self for the child. Stop daydreaming is one frequently heard admonition. You'll never amount to anything if you keep on with your head in the clouds is another. Baby artists are urged to think and act like baby doctors or lawyers. A rare family faced with the myth of the starving artist tells its children to go right ahead and try for a career in the arts. Instead, if encouraged at all, the children are urged into thinking of the arts as hobbies, creative fluff around the edges of real life. For many families, a career in the arts exists outside of their social and economic reality. Art won't pay the electric bill. As a result, if the child is encouraged to consider art in job terms at all, he or she must consider it sensibly. Erin, a gifted children's therapist, was in her mid-30s before she began experiencing a haunting dissatisfaction in her work. Unsure what direction to take, she began adapting a child's book for the screen. Midway through the adaptation, she suddenly had a telling dream about abandoning her own artist child. Prior to becoming a therapist, she had been a gifted art student. For now 2 decades, she had suppressed her creative urges, pouring all of her creativity into helping others. Now, nearly 40, she found herself longing to help herself. Erin's story is all too common. Fledgling artists may have been encouraged to be art teachers or to specialize in crafts with the handicapped. Young writers may be pushed toward lawyering, a talky, wordy profession, or into medical school because they're so smart. And so the child who himself a born storyteller may be converted into a gifted therapist who gets his story secondhand. Too intimidated to become artists themselves, very often too low in self-worth to even recognize that they have an artistic dream, these people become shadow artists instead. Artists themselves, but ignorant of their true identity. Shadow artists are to be found shadowing declared artists. Unable to recognize that they themselves may possess the creativity they so admire, they often date or marry people who actively pursue the art career they themselves secretly long for. When Jerry was still blocked as an artist, he began to date Lisa, a gifted but broke freelance artist. "I am your biggest fan," he often told her. What he did not immediately tell her was that he himself dreamed of being a filmmaker. He had, in fact, an entire library of film books and avidly devoured special interest magazines on filmmaking. But he was afraid to take steps to actualize his interest. Instead, he poured his time and attention into Lisa and Lisa's art career. Under his guidance, her career flourished. She became solvent and increasingly well known. Jerry remained blocked in his own behalf. When Lisa suggested he take a filmmaking course, he ran for cover. Not everyone can be an artist, he told her, and himself. Artists love other artists. Shadow artists are gravitating to their rightful tribe but cannot yet claim their birthright. Very often, audacity, not talent, makes one person an artist and another a shadow artist, hiding in the shadows, afraid to step out and expose the dream to the light, fearful that it will disintegrate to the touch. Shadow artists often choose shadow careers, those close to the desired art, not even parallel to it, but not the art itself. Noting their venom, Francois Truffaut contended that critics were themselves blocked directors, as he had been when he was a critic. He may be right. Intended fiction writers often go into newspapering or advertising, where they can use their gift without taking the plunge into their dreamed-of fiction writing career. Intended artists can become artist managers and derive a great deal of secondary pleasure from serving their dream, even at one remove. Carolyn, herself a gifted photographer, made a successful but unhappy career as a photographer's rep. Jean, who yearned to write feature films, wrote mini-movies in her 30-second commercial spots. Kelly, who wanted to be a writer but feared taking her creativity seriously, made a profitable career out of repping really creative people. Shadow artists, all, these women needed to place themselves and their dreams stage center. They knew this, but they didn't dare. They had been raised into the role of shadow artist and would need to work consciously to dismantle it. It takes a great deal of ego strength to say a well-meaning but domineering parent, or just a plain domineering one, "Wait a minute, I too am an artist." The dreaded response may come back, "How do you know?" And of course, the fledgling artist does not know. There is just this dream, this feeling, this urge, this desire. There is seldom any real proof, but the dream lives on. As a rule of thumb, shadow artists judge themselves harshly, beating themselves for years over the fact that they have not acted on their dreams. This cruelty only reinforces their status as shadow artists. Remember, it takes nurturing to make an artist. Shadow artists did not receive sufficient nurturing. They blame themselves for not acting fearlessly anyhow. In a twisted version of Darwinian determinism, we tell ourselves that real artists can survive the most hostile environments and yet find their true calling like homing pigeons. That's hogwash. Many real artists bear children too early, or have too many, or are too poor, or too far removed culturally or monetarily from artistic opportunity to become the artists they really are. These artists, shadow artists, through no fault of their own, hear the distant piping of the dream, but are unable to make their way through the cultural maze to find it. For all shadow artists, life may be a discontented experience filled with a sense of missed purpose and unfulfilled promise. They want to write, they want to paint, they want to act, make music, dance, but they are afraid to take themselves seriously. In order to move from the realm of shadows into the light of creativity, shadow artists must learn to take themselves seriously. With gentle, deliberate effort, they must nurture their artist child. Creativity is play, but for shadow artists, learning to allow themselves to play is hard work. We have been taught to believe that negative equals realistic and positive equals unrealistic. Susan Jeffers. Do not weep. Do not wax indignant. Understand. Baruch Spinoza. To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. Joseph Chilton Pearce. When you are feeling depreciated, angry, or drained, it is a sign that other people are not open to your energy. Zinaya Roman. Nothing has a stronger influence psychologically on their environment and especially on their children than the unlived life of the parent. C.G. Young. I believe that if it were left to artists to choose their own labels, most would choose none. Ben Sahim. Protecting the artist child within. Very key for us to drop those walls and keep the foundation, helping us feel safe within our own selves. CELL-F, because what we fill the F with of either faith or fear determines how full our cells are of what. Remember. Protecting the artist within. Protecting the artist child within. The child being synonymous with the soul too. So, protecting the artist child within. Remember your artist as a child. Find and protect that child. Learning to let yourself create is like learning to walk. The artist child must begin by crawling. Baby steps will follow, and there will be falls. Yichi, first paintings, beginning films that look like unedited home movies, first poems that would shame a greeting card. Typically, the recovering shadow artist will use these early efforts to discourage continued exploration. Judging your early artistic efforts is artistic abuse. Stop it. This happens in any number of ways. Beginning work is measured against the masterworks of other artists. Beginning work is exposed to premature criticism, shown to overly critical friends. In short, the fledgling artist behaves with well-practiced masochism. Masochism is an art form long ago mastered, perfected during the years of self-reproach. This habit is the self-hating bludgeon with which a shadow artist can beat himself right back into the shadows. In recovering from our creative blocks, it is necessary to go gently and slowly. What we are after here is the healing of old wounds, not the creation of new ones. No high jumping, please. Mistakes are necessary. Stumbles are normal. These are baby steps. Progress, not perfection, is what we should be asking of ourselves. Too far, too fast, and we can undo ourselves. Creative recovery is like marathon training. We want to log 10 slow miles for every 1 fast mile. This can go against the ego's grain. We want to be great, immediately great. But that is not how recovery works. It's an awkward, tentative, even embarrassing process. There will be many times when we won't look good, to ourselves or anyone else. We need to stop demanding that we do. It is impossible to get better and look good at the same time. Remember that in order to recover an artist, we must be willing to be a bad artist. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. By being willing to be a bad artist, you have a chance to be an artist, and perhaps, over time, a very good one. When I make this point in teaching, I am met by instant defensive hostility. But do you know how old I will be by the time I learn to really play the piano, act, play, write a decent play? Yes, the same age you will be if you don't. So let's start. George Tucker's quote, "Painting is an attempt to come to terms with life. There are as many solutions as there are human beings. Generally speaking, where there is only one path, it's a trap." Let us not be trapped. Let us choose our own way. Let us make our own way. Blaze the path. We are trailblazers. We are pioneers. Souls who have come to the leading edge of creativity to be part of the tipping point in humanity's consciousness, out of fear into faith. That is what we are part of. Let us continue. Your enemy within, core negative beliefs. Most of the time, when we are blocked in an area of our life, it is because we feel safer that way. We may not be happy, but at least we know what we are: unhappy. Much fear of our own creativity is the fear of the unknown. If I am fully creative, what will it mean? What will happen to me and to others? We have some pretty awful notions about what could happen. So rather than find out, we decide to stay blocked. This is seldom a conscious decision. It is more often an unconscious response to internalized negative beliefs. In this week, we will work at uncovering our negative beliefs and discarding them. Here's a list of commonly held negative beliefs. I can't be a successful, prolific, creative artist because everyone will hate me. I will hurt my friends and family. I will go crazy. I will abandon my friends and my family. I can't spell. I don't have enough good ideas. It will upset my mother or father. I will have to be alone. I will find out I am gay if straight. I will be stuck straight if gay. I will do bad work and not know it and look like a fool. I will feel too angry. I will never have any real money. I will get self-destructive and drink, drug, or sex myself to death. I will get cancer, AIDS, or a heart attack, or the plague. My lover will leave me. I will die. I will feel bad because I don't deserve to be successful. I will only have one good piece of art in me. It's too late. If I haven't become a fully functioning artist yet, I never will. Beliefs. BS. Belief systems. None of these core negatives need to be true. They come to us from our parents, our religion, our culture, and our fearful friends. Each one of these beliefs reflects notions we have about what it means to be an artist. Once we have cleared away the most sweeping cultural negatives, we may find we are still stubbornly left with core negatives we have acquired from our friends, families, teachers. These are often more subtle, but equally undetermining if not confronted. Our business here is confronting them. Negative beliefs are exactly that: beliefs, not facts. The world was never flat, although everyone believed it was. You are not dumb, crazy, egomaniacal, grandiose, or silly just because you falsely believe yourself to be. What you are is scared. Core negatives keep you scared. The bottom line is that core negatives, personal and cultural, always go to your jugular. Always go for your jugular. They attack your sexuality, your lovability, your intelligence, whatever vulnerability they can latch onto. Some core negative beliefs and their positive alternatives are listed below. We'll go negative and then positive. Negative beliefs: artists are drunk. Artists can be sober. Artists are crazy. Artists can be sane. Artists are broke. Artists can be solvent. Artists are irresponsible. Artists can be responsible. Artists are loners. Artists can be user-friendly. Artists are promiscuous. Artists can be faithful. Artists are doomed. Artists can be saved. Artists are unhappy. Artists can be happy. Artists are born, not made. Artists can be discovered and recovered. For example, in a female artist, the artists are promiscuous cliché may have in its place a personal negative. No man will ever love you if you're an artist. Artists are either celibate or gay. This negative, picked up from a mother or a teacher or unarticulated by the young artist, can constitute grounds for a powerful block. Similarly, a young male artist may have the personal negative: male artists are either gay or impotent. This notion, picked up from a teacher or from reading too much about Fitzgerald and Hemingway, may again create a block. Who wants to be sexually dysfunctional? No one. A gay artist may have yet another spin on the ball. Only heterosexual art is really acceptable, so why make my art if I have to either disguise it or come out of the closet whenever I want to or not? Or come out of the closet whether I want to or not? Stripped to their essence, our multiple negative beliefs reveal a central negative belief. We must trade one good, beloved dream for another. In other words, if being an artist seems too good to be true for you, you will devise a price tag for it that strikes you as unpayable. Hence, you will remain blocked. Most blocked creatives carry unacknowledged either or reasoning that stands between them and their work. To become unblocked, we must recognize our either or thinking. I can either be romantically happy or an artist. I can either be financially successful or an artist. It is possible, quite possible, to be both an artist and romantically fulfilled. It is quite possible to be an artist and financially successful, too. Your block doesn't want you to see that. Its whole plan of attack is to make you irrationally afraid of some dire outcome you are too embarrassed to even mention. You know rationally that writing or painting shouldn't be put off because of your silly fear. But because it is a silly fear, you don't air it and the block stays intact. In this way, you're a bad speller successfully overrides all computer spelling programs. You know it's dumb to worry about spelling, so you don't mention it. And since you don't, it continues to block you from finding a solution. Spelling fear is a remarkably common block. In the next part of this week, we will excavate your unconscious beliefs by using some logic, artist brain learning tricks. This may strike you as hokey and unproductive. Again, that's resistance. If internalized negativity is the enemy within, what follows is some very effective weaponry. Try it before discarding it out of hand. Your ally within, affirmative weapons. As blocked creatives, we often sit on the sidelines, critiquing those in the game. He's not so talented, we may say of a currently hot artist. And we may be right about that. All too often, it is audacity and not talent that moves an artist to center stage. As blocked creatives, we tend to regard these bogus spotlight grabbers with animosity. We may be able to defer to true genius, but if it's merely a genius for self-promotion we're witnessing, our resentment runs high. This is not just jealousy. It's a stalling technique that reinforces our staying stuck. We make speeches to ourselves and other willing victims. I could do that better if only. You could do it better if only you let yourself do it. Affirmations will help you allow yourself to do it. An affirmation is a positive statement of positive belief. And if we can become 1/10 as good as positive self-talk as we are at negative self-talk, we will notice an enormous change. Affirmations help achieve a sense of safety and hope. When we first start working with affirmations, they may feel dumb, hokey, embarrassing. Isn't this interesting? We can easily and without embarrassment bludgeon ourselves with negative affirmations. I'm not gifted enough, not clever enough, not original enough, not young enough. But saying nice things about ourselves is notoriously hard to do. It feels pretty awful at first. Try these and see if they don't sound hopelessly syrupy. I deserve love. I deserve fair pay. I deserve a rewarding creative life. I am a brilliant and successful artist. I have rich creative talents. I am competent and confident in my creative work. Did your censor perk its nasty little ears up? Censors loathe anything that sounds like real self-worth. They immediately start up with the imposter routine. Who do you think you are? It's as though our entire collective unconscious sat up late nights watching Walt Disney's 101 Dalmatians and practicing Cruella de Vil's delivery for scathing indictments. Just try picking an affirmation. For example, I, Laura Hamilton, am a brilliant and prolific writer. Write that 10 times in a row. You can use prolific painter, poet, builder, whatever it is that sparks you. Choose that and then put that in. I, your name, am a brilliant and prolific potter, painter, poet, or whatever you are. Write that 10 times in a row. And while you're busy doing that, something very interesting will happen. Your censor, which is by archetypal names, your inner saboteur, your censor will start to object. Hey, wait a minute. You can't say all that positive stuff around me. Objections will start to pop up like burnt toast. These are your blurts. Listen to the objections. Look at the ugly, stumpy little blurts. Brilliant and prolific? Sure you are. Since when? Can't spell? You call writer's block prolific? You're just kidding yourself. An idiot. Grandiose? Who are you kidding? Who do you think you are? and so on. You will be amazed at the rotten things your subconscious will blurt out. Write them down. These blurts flag your personal negative core beliefs. They hold the key to your freedom in your ugly little claws, in their ugly little claws. Make a list of your personal blurts. It's time to do a little detective work. Where do your blurts come from? Mom, dad, teachers? Using your list of blurts, scan your past for possible sources. At least some of them will spring violently to mind. One effective way to locate the sources is to time travel. Break your life into 5-year increments and list by name your major influences in each time block. Paul had always wanted to be a writer, and yet after a brief flurry of college creativity, he stopped showing his writing to anyone. Instead of the short stories he dreamed of, he kept journal after journal, each following the last into a dark drawer far from prying eyes. Why he did this was a mystery to him until he tried working with affirmations and blurts. When Paul began writing his affirmations, he was immediately shaken by an almost volcanic blast of disparagement. He wrote, "I, Paul, am a brilliant and prolific writer." From deep in his unconscious, there erupted a spewing torrent of self-abuse and self-doubt. It was numbingly specific and somehow familiar. "You're just kidding yourself. A fool. No real talent. A pretender. A dilettante. A dilettante. A joke." Where did this core belief come from? Who could have said this to him? When? Paul went time traveling to look for the villain. He located him with great embarrassment. Yes, there was a villain, and an incident he had been too ashamed to share and air. A malevolent early teacher had first praised his work and then set about a sexual seduction. Fearful that he had somehow invited the man's attention, ashamed lest the work really be rotten too, Paul buried the incident in his unconscious where it festered. No wonder secondary motives were always a fear when someone praised him. No surprise he felt that someone could praise work and not mean it. Boiled down to its essentials, Paul's core negative belief was that he was only kidding himself that he could write. This belief had dominated his thinking for a decade. Whenever people complimented him on his work, he was deeply suspicious of them and their motives. He had all but dropped friends once they had expressed interest in his talents. He had certainly stopped trusting them. When his girlfriend Mimi expressed interest in his talents, he even stopped trusting her. Once Paul brought this monster up from the depths, he could begin to work with it. I, Paul, have a real talent. I, Paul, trust and enjoy positive feedback. I, Paul, have a real talent. Although such positive affirmations felt very uncomfortable at first, they rapidly allowed Paul the freedom to participate in the first public reading of his work. When he was widely praised, he was able to accept the good response without discounting it. Affirmations are like prescriptions for certain aspects of yourself you want to change. Jerry Frankhauser. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. C.G. Jung. Creative affirmations. There's 9 of them. I am a channel for God's creativity, and my work comes to good. My dreams come from God, and God has the power to accomplish them. As I create and listen, I will be led. Creativity is the Creator's will for me. My creativity heals myself and others. I am allowed to nurture my artist. Through the use of a few simple tools, my creativity will flourish. Through the use of my creativity, I serve God. My creativity always leads me to truth and love. Turn now to your own list of blurts. They are very important to your recovery. Each of them has held you in bondage. Each of them must be dissolved. For example, a blurt that runs, I, Fred, am untalented and phony, might be converted to the affirmation, I, Fred, am genuinely talented. Use your affirmations after your morning pages, which is when you write 3 pages first thing when you wake up, every day, to get yourself in the habit of writing whatever you want to say or whatever needs to be said that flows through your head. I like to rhyme. Also, use any of the creative affirmations listed. So you can go back and look at any of those, should you choose. But best of all is use what resonates, what feels right, what fits, what works. Feel it. If it doesn't feel right, it's not yours. Find the language that resonates with the child within you, and then choose that. And when it doesn't fit, or when it doesn't sit well, ask the questions about what's behind that so that you can go deeper and you can find that blurt, you can find that block, and then you can reframe it. Reframing it is simply looking at it from a different perspective. So that's all of what's happening now. Resonance matters. Be very mindful of how you're feeling. If you're off, you're not in flow. Get yourself into a state of flow. And even if you need to just move your energy physically, move your body and just like twist it, or jump up and down a couple times, do some jumping jacks, go for a little run, get yourself into a creative space, and then choose what's going to resonate and feel not comfortable at first because it's not familiar, and comfort and familiarity are closely linked. But you're very much needing to just go into what resonates and can feel truthful, that you would hope to eventually make feel actually truthful, and then grow into that. But just make sure that resonance is there. Don't choose words just because they sound good. Make sure they fit for you specifically, because you are the center of your world. And we are all just microcosms in this macrocosm experience. And ultimately, I'm a mirror for you, and everyone else is too. So the more you do for yourself and the more I do for myself, the clearer the mirror is for everyone else too. So, tasks. Every morning, set your clock 1/2 hour early. Get up and write 3 pages of longhand stream of consciousness morning writing. Do not reread these pages or allow anyone else to read them. Ideally, stick these pages in a large manila envelope or hide them somewhere. Welcome to the morning pages. They will change you. This week, please be sure to work with your affirmations of choice and your blurts at the end of each day's morning pages. Convert all blurts into positive affirmations. So these are 10 activities that you can choose from. So as I'm going through these, I hope you have a pen in hand and are willing to write down some of what is going to work well for you. There are actually 10 more creative affirmations that were on the other page I didn't realize was still connected. So my creativity leads me to forgiveness and self-forgiveness. There is a divine plan of goodness for me. There is a divine plan of goodness for my work. As I listen to the Creator within, I am led. As I listen to my creativity, I am led to my Creator. I am willing to create. I am willing to learn to let myself create. I am willing to let God create through me. I am willing to be of service through my creativity. I am willing to experience my creative energy. I am willing to use my creative talents. So those were more affirmations, or the creative affirmations. And if you think about Scrabble, creative and reactive are the same letters with the C for creativity moved. So, number 2, the other task that you could do. Take yourself on an artist date. You will do this every week for the duration of the course, which is for 12 weeks and beyond, hopefully. A sample artist date. Take $5 and go to your local Five and Dime. Buy silly things like gold Stack'em stars, tiny dinosaurs, some postcards, sparkly sequins, glue, a kid's scissors, crayons. You might give yourself a gold star on your envelope every day you write, just for fun. Number 3, time travel. List 3 old enemies of your creative worth. List 3 old enemies of your creative self-worth. Please be as specific as possible in doing this exercise. Your historic monsters are the building blocks of your core negative beliefs. Yes, rotten sister Ann Rita from 5th grade does count, and the rotten thing she said to you does matter. Put her in. This is your monster hall of fame. More monsters will come to you as you work through your creativity, as you work through your recovery. It is always necessary to acknowledge creative injuries and grieve them. Otherwise, they become creative scar tissue and block your growth. Time travel. Select and write out, this is number 4, time travel. Select and write out one horror story from your Monster Hall of Fame. You do not need to write long or much, but do jot down whatever details come to you. The room you were in, the way people looked at you, the way you felt, what your parents said or didn't say when you told them about it. Include whatever rankles you about the incident. And then I remember she gave me this real fakey smile and patted my head. You may find it cathartic to draw a sketch of your old monster or to clip out an image that evokes the incident for you. Cartoon trashing your monster, or at least draw a nice red X through it. Number 5. Write a letter to the editor in your defense. Mail it to yourself. It is a great fun to write this letter in the voice of your wounded artist child. To whom it may concern, Sister Anne Rita is a jerk and has pig eyes, and I can too spell. And I can too spell. Okay, so you write it as if you were the wounded one that was getting revenge from an empowered place. That doesn't sound too empowering, but I'm sure it would be cathartic. So definitely, if you enjoy, number 5 is an option. Number 6, time travel. List 3 old champions of your creative self-worth. This is your hall of champions, those who wish you and your creativity well. Be specific. Every encouraging word counts. Even if you disbelieve a compliment, record it. It may well be true. If you are stuck for compliments, go back through your time travel log and look for positive memories. When, where, and why did you feel good about yourself? Who gave you affirmations? Write those people down. Additionally, you may wish to write the compliment out and decorate it. Post it near where you do your morning pages or on the dashboard of your car. I put mine on the chassis of my computer to cheer me as I write. Number 7, time travel. Select and write out one happy piece of encouragement. Write a thank you letter. Mail it to yourself or to the long-lost mentor. Number 8, imaginary lives. If you have 5 other lives to lead, what would you do in each of them? I would be a pilot, a cowhand, a physicist, a psychic, and a monk. You might be a scuba diver, a cop, a writer of children's books, a football player, a belly dancer, a painter, a performance artist, a history teacher, a healer, a coach, a scientist, a doctor, a Peace Corps worker, a psychologist, a fisherman, a minister, an auto mechanic, a carpenter, a sculptor, a lawyer, a painter, a computer hacker, a soap opera star, a country singer, a rock and roll drummer. Whatever occurs to you, jot it down. Do not overthink this exercise. The point of these lives is to have fun in them. More fun than you might be having in this one. Look over your list and select one. Then do it this week. For instance, if you put down country singer, can you pick a guitar? If you dream of being a cowhand, what about some horseback riding? Number 9. In working with affirmations and blurts, very often injuries and monsters swim back to us, and add these to your list as they occur to you. Work with each blurt individually. Turn each negative into an affirmative positive. Number 10. Take your artist for a walk, the 2 of you. A brisk 20-minute walk can dramatically alter consciousness. And then check-in. Final page. You will do check-ins every week. If you are running your creative week Sunday to Sunday, do your creative check-ins every Saturday. Remember that this recovery is yours, what you think is important, and it will become increasingly interesting to you as you progress. You may want to do check-ins in your morning pages notebook. It's best to answer by hand and allow about 20 minutes to respond. The purpose of check-ins is to give you a journal of your creative journey. It is my hope that you will later share the tools with others, and in doing so, find your own notes invaluable. Yes, I was mad in week 4. I loved week 5. Number 1 question. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? 7 out of 7, we always hope. How was the experience for you? Reflecting back. So when I read out last week about this experience, I am going to charge my computer to make sure that we're not limited. by energy and power beyond what we have in ourselves. So, I like to sing, as you know. So, you go back each week, and every single day you do your morning pages first, which is the 3 pages you just brain dump. And you can even just say, I don't know what to write right now, but I need to write. And this is part of the process. And so I'm just writing. And now suddenly, because I'm writing about things that don't matter, and now I'm thinking about things that do. And now suddenly I'm talking about things that are more creative. And I'm back into that aspect of myself, those blurts were keeping me out of before. So 3 pages first thing in the morning can revolutionize your day. Adding some decrees in there with the violet flame, now that takes it to the next level. But that is not part of this process specifically, but it is part of the Peaceful Inner Warriors United process that I am in the process of creating. And this book has taken me almost 4 years to write. And basically every single time I think that I'm right there, I felt like there was something missing, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. And I've been finding those people that are able to give me what I need. And I hope in my heart of hearts that this is what this is for you today, this morning. I hope that something in here made you go, I want you to pay attention to only that piece. If you've been watching the entire time, I want you to really write down what that thing that was like, I want you to write that down and actually explore that more. I want you to go with what resonates and then take it deeper. Because when you take it deeper, maybe there was a question. And then in answering that question, you actually go to where you'd never gone before. Because until we are asked the question, we don't have the answer. We have the answer, but we haven't articulated it or formulated it fully. So being able to do that is going to revolutionize the experience of not just listening to me read you a story, but to actually listen to me reading you strategies that you can use in your own life, which is why I am doing this. I want this to be as easy as possible for you to be able to make some kind of change to love yourself more, to have more compassion for yourself, to support the artist within that may not have the same notion of success that modern day says is what it means to be successful. I want us to all understand we've been living in a really sick and toxic culture, which is the cult you are. And ultimately, this is how we break free of that. So the other 2 check-in activities was a question. Did you do your artist date this week? Did you take yourself out? Just you and the little one inside that you are pampering and helping nurture and helping them blossom by knowing that they're safe with you? Yes, of course, we always hope. And yet artist dates can be remarkably difficult to allow yourself. What did you do? How did it feel? And then what will you do this week? Can you plan a day where you go just even for an hour out just on your own with that little artist inside of you in your heart and mind as you do? And number 3, the final piece for today. Were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. Daily. Tune in. What did this mean to you? What does it mean for you? What will you do with it? Undoubtedly, we become what we envisage. Undoubtedly, we become what we envisage. Claude Bristol. Every time we say, let there be, in any form, something happens. Stella Terrell Mann. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. As you simplify your life, the laws of the universe will be simpler. Henry David Thoreau. And finally, Robin Norwood says, make your own recovery the first priority in your life. You are worth it. We live in a universe that operates as if it were a well, with energy constantly coming in and going out. And if we are constantly giving out, eventually, naturally, the well will drain. It will no longer have as much to give, as if We gave out, gave in, put in. Give out, give out, put in. Put in, give out, put in, give out, put in, good out. It's just ebb and flow. We know this. It's redundant for me to talk about in and out, in and out, in and out. But when we actually pay attention to the rhythm of flow in our own lives, shifts happen. And that is truly in my heart of hearts what I desire for you above all else. So I hope this morning's message sparked something for you. I hope you took some notes. I hope you listened with a heart to know that you are supported, you are loved, that you have wonderful things hoped for you, and that your ability to shine and to make it through those dark times that every artist, which is all of us, go through in our lives, whether professional or otherwise. We're all artists. We're all creatives. And it's scary to be different. It's scary to bring something into reality that never has been before. And oftentimes we look for that external approval. I say because I have a lot of experience in this domain. We look for approval from other people to affirm what we're doing. But what we must understand is that we must be our number one cheerleader. We must be the one that pours into the well and also offers out, but continues to fill ourselves. Because if we run out, then we have nothing left to give the way that we could. So I hope that this message was useful to you this morning, and very much look forward to coming to you again next week. We will read week 2, which is recovering a sense of identity. So very much look forward to coming to you then, and hope you have a phenomenal day. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again soon. Toodaloo. I am no longer live over on Facebook, and yet I am still live here, and it is true. But I will say goodbye to you. I hope you're well, my friend. I say goodbye for now. Have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. And if you would care to share what this message meant to you and for you, I would love to read that. Have a good one. Thank you.